Greetings, Scott fans. I'm with Phil Nicolaides, new head football coach of the Macalester Scots. He comes to us from Randolph-Macon College. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Great having you here, of course. And why don't you give us a little bit of a background on your coaching history and also how you found Macalester?
Sure. So I was, like a lot of guys here, graduating and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And when I was graduating from Carnegie Mellon, I was a business major. I was very enticed by the average starting salary statistics of an investment banker and whatnot. And throughout my time in college, I really learned that wasn't what I was passionate about. And I wanted something that gave my life a little bit more meaning and something that I'd be excited to get up and go to work every day. So I actually, at one point, thought I wanted to be an NFL agent. I thought that would be a good intersection between football and my business background from college, and took an internship actually with an NFL agent right out of college, and just decided to volunteer and coach high school football while I was out there. And ultimately I fell in love with coaching. I figured out that I could make a living doing that, and I just dove in and pursued that 100% from that point forward. I was fortunate. I coached 2 years at Franklin and Marshall College, which is similar to Macalester, very small liberal arts school. Spent 2 years there, and then I've spent the last 6 seasons at Randolph-Macon, as you mentioned, as their defensive coordinator. And Macalester really came on my radar. I got to the point in my career where I was looking for a new challenge. I've always said to myself that if something excites me and scares me a little bit, it's probably something I should go after. And I got to the point where I felt like I was ready to pursue a head coaching job. And Macalester came on my radar. I didn't know a ton about the school. I knew it was a high academic school and a rigorous academic institution. And then throughout the interview process, I really felt like it's just like we talk about with guys that we recruit. It's all about finding a fit and finding a place where your values are in alignment. And the more I went through the process, I really felt like Macalester offered that, and a place where I could come and be myself and I think impact the lives of young men and also win some football games along the way.
What from your background do you think prepared you the most to become a head football coach? This is your first head coaching position. What do you think in all the things that you've been through during your career post-college, what do you think prepared you the most to be a head coach?
Sure. I mean, I look back over my both playing career and coaching career, and I've been extremely fortunate to play and coach under some of the best coaches in the country, both in high school and at the collegiate level. So you look at my high school coach, Coach Matta, one of the most well-respected, successful high school coaches in the state of Pennsylvania. Rich Lackner, who just retired from Carnegie Mellon after 35 plus years as a head coach. And then you talk about John Troxell at Franklin and Marshall and Pedro Ruza at Randolph-Macon. Just really great track records of success, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And I think as you come up playing and coaching under different styles, you kind of take things you like, take things you don't like from all of them. And in the back of your mind as you're playing and coaching, you're kind of like, if that's me, I'm going to do it this way or I'm going to do it that way. So just taking elements from all of those different and somewhat contrasting styles, and now arriving here and trying to put them all together and take elements from each of them and hopefully put a successful product on the field and develop guys off the field as well.
So you mentioned how you kind of found Macalester and what attracted you. What specifically are you looking both to do here and also how it maybe fit best with your own beliefs and your own coaching philosophy to bring that here to Macalester?
Sure. I always really felt that I wanted to coach at the Division III level first and foremost, but also I was really attracted to a high academic institution just because I felt like my ability to impact the young men in our program would depend a lot on my ability to relate to them and empathize with what they're going through. And having played at Carnegie Mellon and coached at some other high academic institutions, I have struggled with and am struggling with a lot of the same things that our players are. So I think being able to relate to them is something that was really attractive to me throughout the process. the one word that kept coming up throughout the interview process here was holistic development. And that's something I feel really strongly about. I think at a lot of programs you hear coaches talk about it's school and football, school and football, school and football. And one thing I've always thought about is when you graduate, school ends and football ends. So how are we developing the guys in our program more holistically as human beings, not just as students, not just as athletes, but as people? And how are we developing them socially? How are we developing them emotionally? And just preparing them for the life after college football.
What kind of student athlete do you feel will be successful here at Macalester?
Yeah, I don't think there's any secret recipe or anything like that. I think ultimately we're looking for guys that are good enough football players to help us win games and compete for championships. Guys who are high character off the field, guys who are really passionate about football and understand that you can perform at an elite level both on the field and off the field. One thing that I really look for in student athletes through the recruiting process is humility. And humility for me is the intersection between vulnerability and curiosity. So kind of the understanding that you don't have everything figured out, and the awareness of that, and also the curiosity to say, because I don't have everything figured out, I'm willing to have conversations with other people who may see things differently. And I think that's something that will help guys here as student athletes at Macalester, but also something that if we develop, it'll really help them later on in life.
We're certainly looking forward to seeing your team play here, right here at Macalester Stadium this fall. What can we expect as fans, spectators, as far as the type of team that you'll have? What does a Phil Nicolaides coach team look like?
Sure. Well, I certainly hope people watch us play and they say, man, those guys play really hard. And I don't shy away. I tell our players all the time I want us to play harder than any team in the country. And I think that's something that we control. It has nothing to do with your ability, but you can come out and compete your tail off every day and work really hard. I do want to bring kind of a blue-collar, gritty, physical presence to the game. I don't want to run a finesse program, and I hope that shows in our style of play that we're not a finesse football team. That's something that I feel really strongly about. And every coach talks about it, but discipline and not committing stupid penalties, selfish penalties. I hope when people watch us play, they don't see a lot of ego. It's team first. There's excitement on the sidelines. There's energy on the sidelines. And ultimately, I think a lot of people are going to judge Macalester football on how we perform on 10 Saturdays in the fall. But I also think, 365 days a year, I hope that our guys are walking around campus and representing our program and our institution well. I hope that the guys on our team develop really strong relationships. They love each other. I talk all the time about building the strongest family in college football, and to me that starts with love, not just from the coaches to the players, but really the players amongst themselves, and that's no judgment, that's limitless. There's no limits, and just building those really strong, tight-knit bonds that I think are going to carry guys once they're gone. I really hope guys look back on their time here at Macalester and they feel like they've been prepared for life, and also have some really strong, tight-knit bonds with their teammates and their coaches as well.
Well, we're super excited to have you here, Coach Phil, and we're looking forward to see what you can do with this program and this year, this fall, and also the falls ahead of us. This fall gets underway here on September 3rd. The Scots are actually on the road at Minnesota Morris. And the first home game is September 10th, right here at Macalester Stadium against Martin Luther. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Matt.